Great dialogue systems can be used to tell the story of your game. There are infinite ways to tell a story. Games like Mass Effect had a great and interesting way to tell the story and allow you to change the flow of it through dialogue options with full voice. Old school role-playing games use a different but similar format to tell the story of the game, as well as visual novels, just a box with text inside. You can add some decoration, but in essence, it's just a box with text. As simple as it sounds, it is one of the most time-consuming things to do, and there is a lot of complexity. I want to add a dialogue system into the game that I am making now, to tell a little bit about the story. Not much, since this is an action fighting game, but there is a need to explain some of the things while playing. So how hard can it be to implement? Where do we start? Let me explain after the intro. Welcome back. If you are new to the channel, I make games, and you can download many of my games from the link in the description below. There are two main parts for a dialogue system. The first one is the core of the dialogue, the story, the text, multiple language support, options, cameras, variables, and much more. That will be used to tell you a story. Complex dialogue systems can look like a branching tree with more and more options as the game progresses. It can be quite cumbersome and complicated to make a system from scratch to keep track of all the variables, contexts, past actions and choices made, and this is just only about handling the story. You can find many open source solutions to handle the construction of your stories and help you manage the amount of text that your game will have. Localization and variables is another topic we can talk in a future video, since this can be just another big category by itself. Nothing is as simple as it looks. The second part is more complicated. Since I couldn't find anything I could use for my game, it depends on game engine and the experience you want to provide to the player. It is about how to render text in a meaningful way. Let me explain. You can have like a visual novel, a text area, and display every little bit of text by showing a few letters at a time, or words or lines. That doesn't look like much work, but there is much more than what you can see. You can add sounds when words are displayed, add icons, images, or portraits of different characters. You need to control the speed of the text or even animate how each letter will be rendered on screen, change the color of the font or even the font on some words. It can also be rendered in many other ways, like comic with speech bubbles, for example, so the dialogue rendering module should allow a flexible way to render text on screen with many different effects. In any case, adding more art for a small part of the game will not add that much to the gameplay, like having a portrait of the character or a big image of the character rendered on one side while talking. Don't get me wrong, it is nice to see that, but it depends on the time and budget you have. I think I can make a better use of my time and draw more content, background, and levels than focusing on those small details at this time. Focus on things that are in the main loop. So for this game, I decided that I need two types of dialogue systems to render text on screen. The first one will allow me to tell the story from a narrator point of view in a big rectangle, and the other with speech bubbles and zoom the camera to the speaker, something like this. This is just a sample. So in that way, I can avoid drawing more sprites that is needed and instead reuse what I have on screen. I wrote a user interface module about 5 years ago, and I left the implementation of text effects for dialogue systems as a future enhancement. All my games use this library to render text, so finally I can focus a little bit on that missing part of the library. And what was my progress this week? I mainly focused on the backend of the dialogue system, and next week I should be able to show how the final product will look in-game. With all the basic parts built, I can start to construct stories of my game in a very flexible way. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to support my work, please click like and subscribe and click on the notification bell so you do not miss my next update. Thank you so much for watching my journey. See you next week.